2025 was a whirlwind politically. We saw the fall of one prime minister and the rise of a new one, a stunning electoral result at the ballot box, and spiraling relations with the United States. What's the biggest challenge each political party in this country will face next year? Our Sunday strategy session is back. Kathleen, Kory, and Scott. Scott, I'll start this round with you. What is the biggest challenge next year for the Liberals?
Well, I'll cheat and say I see two of them. The first, obviously, is Donald Trump and what he plans to do with CUSMA. There's a CUSMA review coming up. We've recently heard from the Prime Minister, from Don LeBlanc, saying they don't think it's an automatic lock that Trump is going to try to dismantle North American free trade. I hope they're right, because I think he does want to dismantle North American free trade. I think he wants two bilateral deals. I think he wants to impose a bunch of new sectoral tariffs, and I think that's going to cause huge disruption to our economy. Even the threat of it happening is going to cause massive shocks. I think it's going to be an enormous challenge. It's an enormous challenge for Prime Minister Carney, be an enormous challenge for anybody who's in government. The second, more particular to the government, more particular to all Liberals, ego. Ego, man. And, you know, I think a lot of Liberals look back on 2025 and all that we've just discussed, and they say, we were kissed by karma. It'll never end, right? It goes on forever. Like, you know, what goes up stays up. Maybe not. And Pierre Poilievre, as hard as times look for him, you can't dismiss the possibility that this guy could come back. You can't dismiss the numbers where he's polling above 40%, his party at least. So I would take nothing for granted. And if there's one disease that afflicts Liberals in office, I should know it is ego.
Kory, what do you think about that? And then what do you think the biggest challenge for the Conservatives is this year?
Well, I completely agree with Scott in terms of what the challenges are for Liberals.
Thank you.
The ego part, yeah.
Yeah, no, but like, you know, humility is always a challenge when you're on top. But look, I think for the Conservatives, the challenge is that Carney is basically running a fourth term of a Harper government. It's you know, trying to find the right attack vector with a government that's you know, implementing a bunch of things that are popular with your members and popular with the conservative voting pool out there. It you know, is a thing. You know, the Liberals are, as a party, are not as popular as Carney is, and the reason, you know, with Conservatives is that's a challenge. You have an MOU with Alberta that is being supported by Daniel Smith. There'll probably be in the next coming weeks MOU with Saskatchewan that'll be popular with Scott Moe. And you saw an announcement on Thursday with Premier Ford and the Prime Minister around resource development that is very popular with Conservatives at the provincial level in Ontario, and so on and so forth. So, you know, you have a Carney government that's doing a lot of things that, quite frankly, a lot of Conservatives like. And so trying to figure out what the right attack vector is challenging in that circumstance. So, you know, I think they've tried a few different messages. I don't think they've landed on one that is getting a ton of traction at this point. And so I think the biggest challenge for them this year, you know, aside from Poilievre securing his leadership in some sort of sustainable way, is to figure out what that attack vector is, and to you know, start chipping away at the Liberals' support.
What do you think about that, Kathleen? And then the biggest challenge for the NDP?
Yeah, I think that the problem, as I mentioned before, with the Conservatives is that they're going to have to actually figure out how they can tell Canadians that they can actually govern and not just oppose. Because, you know, like, he has done such an effective job at attacking, but people that don't seem to like him as an individual. The Liberals, I think Carney's biggest risk, frankly, you know, Scott has just called it ego. I would call it a concern that he is too corporate, you know, that his centralization of power and his refusal to consult even sometimes his own cabinet members may backfire when things get really tough. In terms of New Democrats, I mean, their challenge is relevancy. It's not actually finding a new leader. It's not finding new policy or new ideology, whatever values they want to go down. It's actually being relevant in this particular parliament and this democracy that is Canada. You know, we have to think through what the political oxygen is going to be for New Democrats, how they can get some life back in them. With all the chaos that's going on in terms of Trump that my colleagues have mentioned, all the chaos that will continue with the Conservative leadership, because I don't think that's going to be calm waters for the Conservatives for some time. How do New Democrats punch through and actually make a difference? And how do they actually show that they can govern as well? Look to the examples of British Columbia, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, that have been successful in the past. There's going to be a desire to kind of pivot hard left, because that's what feeds the algorithm. That's what juices people up and gets people involved in politics. But if they really want to be a party that represents Canadians and can actually achieve power, they're going to have to look for successful examples of where New Democrats have done that in the past.
I have a minute left, so I'll do one quick round jumping off that point, because I think the question of the NDP really factors into the question I want to pose to all of you, which is, do you think there's going to be an election next year? Scott?
Yes. I just think it makes sense for the Prime Minister at some point, if he has a lead and if he's holding off economic chaos, to try to bank that majority. So I don't know if that's going to come in late spring or the fall, but if I was in the Prime Minister's office, I'd be saying, let's look for our opening and take it.
Kory, do you think there'll be an election next year?
I do, but I'll put the following caveat on it. If the Prime Minister secures, call it not, one, but, 2 or 3 additional MPs as floor crossers, then I think there won't be, because I think Carney is mostly interested in governing. But to do that, he needs to have a majority. And so if he's able to secure that with additional floor crossers, there won't. If he's unable to do that, then I'm with Scott. I think, it could be as soon as the spring.
The last prediction goes to you, Kathleen.
First of all, I want to, next year we should re-roll tape, and actually look at our
That's why I asked the question.
I think if we re-rolled last year, things would be a bit different too. But I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Carney will try to go by stealth, majority by stealth. Yeah, put some money on it. I think we put wine on this last year, actually. I think Kory owes me, but
I do.
But
I do.
But I do think that there won't be an election, and I think he may be able to secure his majority.
Okay, I'm going to leave it on that note. Guys, the happiest of holidays. Merry Christmas. Thanks for all that you've done for us over the past year. It's been a blast. Our Sunday strategy session. Kathleen Monk, Kory Teneycke, and Scott Reid. Coming up, we'll take a closer look at the definitive political moments of the year with our scrum. Nick Thanos, Joël Denis Belvance, and Judy Turner with us next.